Hello, my name is Nicole Toole, and I've been working at Steady for the last actually a year and a half, in which I was an associate program manager, but I was recently brought on as an application development intern, where I worked with their development team in order to create a cash distribution program or cash distribution software. So Steady is an Atlanta-based startup. They were founded in 2016. And so they basically help people find jobs and improve their financial well-being. And they do this by giving them job opportunities that might be helpful to them, as well as connecting them to healthy financial resources that can help them in their careers. So as you can see here, Shaq is listed because he's one of their investors as well as one of the figureheads over the company. And so, like I said, I've been working as an application development intern for the cash distribution process. And what's really awesome about what my role turned into is that I'd actually been working as an associate program manager before they brought me on for the application development. So I really learned about like how to send out cash payments to their users. And I was basically, before I made it to the application development role, I was working across functional teams to ensure that payments were being set up on time. And so this process is extremely manual. And so that actually is what led us to the project, which was to create an automated cash distribution system. And so my boss, basically what he told me was that we want to build a system that improves the efficiency of cash distribution payments. And so Steady sends out payments to their members. So members can win up to $1,000 to help them with their bills. And we also are one of the distribution technologies for Mayors for Guaranteed Income, which is a guaranteed income program that sends out payments to like city residents on a monthly basis. And so before we implemented this system, it was a very manual and tedious process. And so my boss, we were looking at the issues since I'm in it, he was in it, and trying to figure out how we can create an automated system in order to improve efficiency. And so what we were looking for was to decrease the mechanical errors. So a lot of times I was ensuring that payments were going to the right participants, ensuring it was going to the right bank account. And so there was a lot of room for error because it was all based on like what I was doing. And like I had to be very meticulous and make sure things were going correctly. But of course, humans aren't perfect. I'm not perfect. And so sometimes errors would arise. And like for example, one time like I sent out payments before they were supposed to, so it was a big issue. So we really wanted to decrease the mechanical errors. And we wanted for quick approvals and bank checking. So a lot of times we had to ensure that the bank accounts that were linked to through the Steady app were eligible for ACH payments. So we wanted a system that allowed for us to quickly know if the bank account was eligible. And then we also wanted quick reporting. So my tasks in the internship were to understand the as is system and then build a improved system. And so of course they knew that I wasn't super technical, so they tasked me to create a working prototype to show them, how the system could potentially work. And so as you can see here on the screen, this is actually one of the process diagrams that I created, in which it shows the process of payments in the manual system before we implemented the automated system. And so I did that as well as create the future system. And I also worked on across stakeholders to figure out what their needs were and to ensure that we were building the right system. And so we worked with a company called TopTal in order to implement the system, but I was really just tasked with building the prototype. And so this is some of the challenges in the roadblocks that I faced. I don't have skills in automation, and I'm very early in like database management. So for the system that we wanted to create, we had to be able to make checks to the database to ensure that accounts were linked correctly. And that was something that I didn't really have a lot of experience in. And of course, like they didn't really allow me to touch that sensitive information. But so I didn't really have the skills in the automation in order to build it out. And then also just like understanding the team's coding languages was something that I wasn't familiar with at first. So we use React JS for and or Node.js as well as React Native for the screens. And so I was not familiar with these coding languages, so it was something that I had to learn and study on. And then I just had to make sure that the system was conducive to the stakeholders. So that was a little bit of a challenge because there were so many different stakeholders in the company who wanted to see this solution. So it was just a little bit difficult to make sure we were building the right things for everyone. And so my approach is to overcome. So I met with my team lead every week in which I kind of just discussed like what I was working on and things I needed help with. And so I spent the first few weeks literally just sitting in the stand-ups with the development team. And so they kind of just talked through the system. They talked through like what they were planning to implement and what they're planning to do. And so it was a really great learning lesson for me because I got to see how development teams function together in order to build a solution. And then I also definitely needed more practice. So I definitely learned a lot from building the prototype that I created. But I definitely think I can continue to improve upon it. So significant outcomes, and there was a lot of significant outcomes from this project. One was, we were able to build a proper automation tool framework that allowed for the process of payments to significantly improve. And so though I wasn't a part of that specific functionality, I did learn a lot about how that works. And then secondly, I finished the development and began system testing. So right now the team is in system testing phase. So since I was a developer on the team, but also one of the key stakeholders who used the manual system before the automated implementation, I'm also a part of the system testing because I am actually the end user for this solution. So that's been a really great outcome. And then the tool has been accepted by our team. Like we're going to begin implementing it this summer and use it to send out payments to all of our members, which is really awesome. So for the lessons learned, I think like I really learned how important planning is. I didn't realize how much time, is important to spend on it. And I would say that we spent the first 3 weeks just making sure that we went through all of the important use cases and make sure that like we were very clear on the requirements. And I've done a lot of school projects, but I had never really seen how important that was. And really just like seeing how the team communicated with one another was just really awesome to learn. I think for me, definitely wanted to improve my own communication skills on deliverables because sometimes I didn't meet the deadlines for some of my tasks. So I think overall just improving communication, which goes into my third point, which is to ask for help. I didn't really ask for help and I have a tendency to not do that, but my team lead, once I started to ask for help and like get his feedback on things, he was really helpful. And so that was the most important thing, I think, is like ask for help, especially when you need it, because I was on a team of pretty experienced developers and they're more than willing to help me. As far as major accomplishments, I completed all my deliverables, which was great. I worked well with the team members. It was really cool to meet them and to like learn about their own stories and like how they worked with one another. I learned the ins and outs of application development, which is really cool. That's my track, that's my focus. So it was really cool, great experience to learn that and to see it in practice. And so I think my 3 takeaways for my career is that teamwork is so important. Like I really can't stress enough how awesome it was to see the team work together, seeing the UI UX team, the database, the back end team work together on the solution was really awesome. And being a part of those meetings was just really fulfilling for me. So I really got to see how important teamwork is and why having cross-functional teams is really important. And then I think the second one is always ask for help, like especially coming in as an entry-level position, it's important that we ask for help because we don't know everything and like our teams usually have more experience. So it's really imperative that we ask for help when it's necessary. And then my third point is to learn continuously. Like I learned a lot in this this during this time, but I think overall I just want to learn more. And so there's so much to learn in this industry and in this field. So I would say like my biggest takeaway is to just continue to learn. Um, and so that my most important one thing is I think is to ask for help. Like I improved so much when I really like got the help from my advisor or from my supervisor. And you know, he really just was really there for me and I really appreciate it. Um, and I think this really had like the most impact was just how well the team worked together and how much they were willing to help me. So overall, I think this experience was incredible for me. And I definitely think I have the tools that I need in order to go forth into my career. And I'm really excited to see what other teams and hopefully I can continue at Steady as a application development team member this time. So I'm really, really excited and really thankful. Um, so I'm really excited to see how I can continue to use this in my field. Thank you.